Down to business.
We did it. I hope we did it. Yeah, I don't have anything witty and clever to say at the start, and I don't know how much of that last 15 minutes I want to use, so
Yeah.
I guess I'll just dive right into it, and who knows, maybe this will be like the first time we have an episode that starts right at the... Hello and welcome to Potato Chip Pictures, a movie review franchise podcast thingy starting with the Bond franchise. My name is B. Sammy Davis.
My name's Justin.
And this week we were watching The Spy Who Loved Me. It is Roger Moore's third turn as Bond. It is Lewis Gilbert's first time directing a Bond movie. He's also going to direct the next movie, and I think those are going to be his only two. In 1977 and today, this is often cited as one of the best Roger Moore James Bond movies. And so, having not finished his run, I can't remember if I've watched all of his movies. Those are pretty big words. It'll be interesting to see.
I was comparing it to he's only done two other ones that we watched so far, and
yes,
it's better than those ones.
Yes.
But this is the best? Okay.
Yeah, if you're just going to make a comparison to the previous two movies that we watched, then yeah, this movie blows those ones out of the water. But I don't know about the next ones. I don't know how many of them are going to be better or worse. What will time have said? But in 1977, this movie was made on a budget of $13.5 million. So roughly twice what the last two movies had as their budget. And it returned $185.4 million. So it did a lot better than the previous one. Yeah. Let me see really fast. Some house cleaning. I don't remember if I actually gave my rating for The Man with the Golden Gun. And so if I missed that last week, I'm at a 4. You're at a 3. Together we're at 3.5. There. Just in case I missed it.
Yeah. I can't recall. I know I gave my score, but I didn't actually write it down in my notes.
Yeah, and I don't remember saying my score. I know I heard yours. I had mine written down, but yeah.
Going off my notes for the previous two movies, and I didn't have the Golden Gun included, so I was like, well, those are not. So, yeah, 2.5 and 3 to the current rating. This was much better than those ones. I don't know whose fault that is.
Same with me. I do think it was the director. I mean, the previous director, I don't want to speak too poorly against him, but Guy Hamilton, his first time directing the franchise was Goldfinger, and the movie just did not age particularly well.
Yeah.
But he definitely had a style. And that style was kind of large and over the top. I think that carried through even with Live and Let Die and The Man with the Golden Gun. It just sucks that those movies had J.W. Pepper. And I think that kind of ruined them for us. But now we've got Lewis Gilbert doing 2 movies in a row. He's going to do this one and the sequel, Moonraker. And I really kind of enjoy this one. I feel like the beginning is the slowest.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And then it just starts building and building. And then at a certain point, I am fully invested.
I think I wrote down, I'm trying to remember what point that was because, it's just the car chase, the amazing car chases that eventually feels like, okay, I don't particularly care about the romantic tension that's like manufactured, but car chase, yeah, let's see some cool stunts. And aside from not just killing Bond while he's there, try to kill Bond while he's on the mainland.
I was reading over your notes and I saw that and I was like, yep, you can't kill Bond when you want to kill him. You always got to kill him later.
I'm like, is the in-world realistic reason like, oh, it'd be suspicious if he died at our facility. You don't actually have to tell anyone that he's dead.
Yeah, like, I'm pretty sure you can get it cleaned up before anyone's going to notice.
Bond disappeared. And Bond disappears all the time.
Yeah, that's MI6's number one complaint about Bond is that he goes off radar all the time. So you've got maybe a month before anyone goes looking for him. So that's plenty of time to clean up the place. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. This movie, I don't know if I said it. It is the 10th book. Genuinely could not tell you if that was a full novel or one of the collections of short stories. I think the collection of short stories was number 11, but I don't know. We're at number 10. That's where we're at. Again, the whole reason I say which book we are at is to demonstrate how these books mean nothing to the movie franchise.
Well, there's one part in the movie. I mean, I do like kind of going chronologically, but I also like sprinkling in pieces that make sense. Mm-hmm. She kind of talks about what she knows about him, and it's a tender spot saying, oh, and married once. And he's like, watch what you're going to say. And I'm like, okay, well now this brings the whole, is Bond a person back? Because this Bond is upset talking about his dead wife that was married to Lazenby. Like,
we were doing just fine ignoring the new Bonds from Connery to Moore. And then in this movie, they're like, hey, by the way, you remember when we switched Bonds before with Lazenby? But also, the Lazenby movie was from the 11th book. And so this being the 10th book, like, they really do not care where they are.
You need to have Bond prepared with a quip. Then we can draw from the universe, but no.
Yes. But I do like that we finally got an in-universe reference to Mrs. Bond, Tracy, essentially saying
it's a happy ending. Like, I wish it could have worked out for him.
Yeah, I mean, I still love Tracy Bond. I think she would have been a fantastic addition to the franchise, but that's not what they wanted to do with it. That's not what they were going to do with it.
We want Bond to sleep around.
Yep, that's the way that agents have to be. And I really like Anya Amasova, the triple X from the KGB. We're going to call her Anya because I have so much trouble with that last name. They say it like 5 or 6 times in the movie, and every time they said it, I repeated it back to them, and it just sounded like gibberish coming out of my mouth. Amazova. I have no idea how they were saying it. So for my mouth, we're just saying Anya because I can actually pronounce it easily. The main reason that I kept trying to say, remember that spies are horny, is because of this movie. Like, this is the movie where they're like, and it's horny spies everywhere. And that's how we're going to start the movie. Well, I guess technically we're going to start the movie with a submarine heist. And it's pretty fun because we're only watching it from the perspective of the British nuclear submarine. And yeah, I saw in your notes, they've got dirty magazines hung up everywhere. And this was a thing from the 70s and 80s before the existence of PG-13. There were a lot of movies that had straight up pornography, but because it was in a magazine and kind of tucked to the side, it's still PG.
I haven't been paying attention to the ratings on these, and that's probably, I could go back and see.
I'm pretty sure all of these were PG. I haven't seen them because, they won't be PG-13 until Indiana Jones comes out. That's George Lucas is the reason we have PG-13 because Indiana Jones got an R rating. George Lucas was like, that's ridiculous. This is literally made for children, and you gave it an R rating. And
the face meltings,
so the film board was like, yeah, man, the face meltings are not for kids, but we'll let teenagers see it. We'll create a new rating called PG-13, and that'll be the workaround. And yeah, film history, baby. That's what we get. So anyway, we've got the submarine getting captured. Oh boy, did those kids look young. Like the kid that everyone is turning to be like, what's going on? What's happening? He's got pimples all over his face. He looks like he could be 14 years old. Like he is a child who apparently holds rank in the
submarine.
British Navy. But yeah, they get captured. We don't get to see what captures them.
Yeah.
I really like it. I think it's kind of eerie. I think it's kind of creepy.
Yeah, I don't know that I quite put it all together of they were abducted. I thought they just like exploded like in Mission Impossible movie. Like, oh, they're dead. Okay, well we should go check out why they're dead. Like, oh no, okay. I think when you said that it used twice the budget, it's like, well, it did appear like they had a lot more things in film.
Oh yeah. The villain's lair of Atlantis. We're going to get to that. I love the miniature. I love the indoor shots. A lot of it harkens back to Dr. No, except it looks good.
Yeah.
Honestly, so my very short summary of the entire movie is that this is the best elements of Dr. No and Thunderball mashed together. And it works. I like it. I like it a lot. I didn't realize that all I needed from Thunderball was for it to be a better movie.
I'm like, well, cool your jets, because the beginning of this movie is just too horny. I'm like, come on. There's so many innuendo drops that it's just like...
I mean, we go straight to the horniest stuff.
Yeah.
Right away. I only watched the movie one time this week, so I can't remember in detail if we started with Triple X or if we started with Bond.
Triple X.
But both of them are getting laid.
Yeah. And it's a good cross up because I did not expect Triple X to be a woman spy, but the guy answers or is talking about needing to go on a mission, and then the whatever is next to them rings, and he's like, "Oh, it's for you," and that's who the super spy is. I'm like, oh, well, you got me. I understand.
Yep, I liked it, and it got me thinking, like, what kind of mission is this other guy going on? And it would make sense that, Bond has a license to kill. And so for him, he is a hammer in a world where everything is a nail.
Yeah.
Perhaps Triple X has a more delicate touch. Maybe her license is to spy and get information. And so the people that she is sleeping with know that she is a spy. And they just think they're going to play the game better than she does. But that's the whole point of her training, is to let them believe they can play the game better. And then they'll reveal everything.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've got a lot of headcanon with Anya.
I think she'd probably is qualified as a spy. Like, I think the most of the stuff that she does, I think, is successful. I do think some of the bits, the dumb driving the car, but she can't. It's like just the normal 1970s misogyny of women can't drive, and it's like
she's better than Good Night, but the movie's still gonna do a little bit of misogyny.
Yeah. Right. Well, I mean, so we get out. She gets called in. Bond tries to get called in, but he's also romantically entangled. As soon as he gets ready to leave that place, which is like a cabin, the agent, apparently, the person that's there with him, is also an agent. I don't know if she was Russian. I think she was, because then she calls in a ski team to chase Bond, and Bond manages to kill one, which happens to be Anya's romantic involvement as well. So it kind of all gets all tangled, but it was...
Yeah.
Why couldn't those ski guys have showed up at the cabin and just killed Bond there? Sure, it's 5 minutes into the movie.
The impression that I got was that was the plan. And so they were on their way to the cabin. Bond gets called away and gets dressed. And so she runs to the walkie-talkie as soon as he's gone to be like, change of plan. You've got to catch him on skis now. You're not going to catch him here. So that was the idea that I got out of that whole exchange. But, oh man, this is where I differ from public opinion, because a lot of people love this ski escape scene.
Really?
And I don't. I really don't.
That's
I don't think
right.
it's... Yeah, like, I think On Her Majesty's Secret Service did it better.
Yeah. They're trying to bury that ski run. Like, let's do a new ski run that people talk about.
Yeah. Watch this one.
He jumps off a cliff and parachutes with the flag.
Yeah, people lost their minds when they saw the British flag as the parachute. And so I imagine, if you were watching it in the theaters, this would be as exciting as, the early days of the MCU, when things would happen and you're seeing your favorite superhero doing things on the big screen and you're just like, oh, I'm losing my mind. I think people were doing that in 1977, watching James Bond ski off a cliff, and it cuts seamlessly into the theme song.
Yeah.
It's an okay theme song. It's not going to show up on my playlist, and I think I'm also a little bitter at the fact that it has a different title than the movie. The song is called Nobody Does It Better. It was sung by Carly Simon. On its own, it's a fine song. Yeah. I just wish that the movie had been called Nobody Does It Better or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that could have matched what they were doing. Good song. I enjoy it.
I think that we're starting to get into better credits where they are doing things with the credits. The scene that really sticks to my craw is the gymnast swinging around the barrel of the gun. Like, I really like that imagery. I think it's pretty dope.
I feel like I may have not been born when all of the Russia stuff was happening, but it felt like the gymnastics were a call out to, I assume the Russian gymnast team was really good also back in the 70s. I feel like it was a whole thing. But
yeah, I don't think they were caught doping until the 80s, so I'm not sure. I mean, at this period, they were probably dominant all over the place, but I don't know. I'm just trying to mentally picture the older movies' opening credits, and most of them, I think, were just kind of okay.
Yeah.
I have a soft spot for Goldfinger. I think it's because I love the song so much, but I also love having projections of the movie on a woman who is painted gold, so it fits within the theme of the movie. But at the same time, The Spy Who Loved Me, I mean, it has kind of sharper imagery and goes together better. And Like, yes, it is titillating. They're all going to be titillating, but
Sure.
I don't know. This one doesn't strike me as being as horny as the previous ones.
Yeah, I think I could agree there. I think the intro, the only one that I would probably rank better is the very first time that they did the name credits just on dancers. It was so oddly modern, like put in together. Like I had to assume that they were actually projecting this onto dancers who were like in and out of focus because they don't have great CGI. They don't have any CGI.
It didn't exist. Yeah.
So they had to do
computer
that.
was a job, like not a technology.
Yeah. So that one I think strikes me still as probably the high bar of innovation for these credits.
I think that one was From Russia with Love.
I think so.
So the second movie, because I think it was The Belly Dancer, and it was just simple names. It was just the words that were projected onto the woman's body, but they had to do it live. They had to do it on camera. The effects had to be done practically.
A bit in Goldfinger, and it's just all the violent parts, and it's like, well, this is a bit much. I don't think they were going for this sort of ham-fisted approach, but yeah, that's 1960s, 70s. These objects we just project violence onto. Like, wow, you just summarized the decade, right?
Yeah. So one of these days we might have to go through and just watch the credits alone just to do a ranking episode of credits. But I think that this one would show up pretty high. As with most of them, it ends and takes us right to the next area. And I'm trying to... Okay, so we have not combined Secret Services yet. We are in London for a bit of one-on-one with M and Bond.
I think right before that is they're still in Russia because the intro silhouettes cut out. And I love that the name of the submarine that's Russian that disappeared is the Potemkin. And it's like these little jabs at, made up strength. Just worked, even though I feel like is that a throwaway line? Like, when did Potemkin villages actually happen? I don't know, because
I don't know what Potemkin village is. I had to look it up. There was a Russian statesman and military leader named Grigory Potemkin.
So what I understand of it is that there was some sort of village set up that they would move along a corridor of like where I'm trying to remember the situation. I don't know if it was a war, but essentially they were decoy villages to project a larger strength of what was happening. And so it's like, oh, it's like a fake submarine. Oh, but it's Russian. Ha, that's funny.
I mean, hopefully they were naming it after the military leader because, just a quick Google search, a Potemkin village is also named after him, and it is a fake portable village meant to deceive the enemy. And so that is...
Oh yeah, Empress Catherine the Great would travel, make it appear as if the country's more prosperous. So then that would have been
really fascinating.
That would have been before this, because that would have been super old.
Yeah, well, I mean, he lived in the 18th century.
You can give some credit to the writers. Maybe they stole it from the book.
Yeah. Or they just know their Russian history and they actually paid attention to it. But yes, I
don't think we spend too long in Russia. I think we go.
I was literally going to say we can forget all about the Russian submarine because I don't even think we're ever going to see their crew. Even though the Russians are a part of this, the only Russians that we're going to see are the head of the KGB and Major Anya. And did you notice anything special about the head of the KGB?
Is he Doctor No? Or no? Is he?
You're very close.
What's his face?
He didn't have a name.
Oh.
He was a bad guy, but can you remember the movie?
Like a Bond movie?
Yeah.
Let me think. Because he's like bald, but I didn't really look at him because he wasn't. I feel like he had some glasses on that I didn't really recognize him as from something. What is he from?
So I can't remember if he wore glasses in his first movie, but in his first movie, he was the training liaison or training commander for Spectre in From Russia with Love. And his character died when they were on the boats and Bond kicked off these oil tankers and he told everybody to slow down because they were riding into the oil.
Nope.
And Bond shot the flare and blew them all up.
Didn't listen.
So definitely a different character, but same actor. And I even remember when we watched From Russia with Love, I was like, wow, that bald guy, he looks so familiar to me, and I can't quite place it. And then I realized,
later.
Yep, he's going to be a recurring character. He will be the head of the KGB for a few movies. And I like that. I like that he is now going to be a regular in the series. And he's just M's Russian counterpart. That's really all he is.
And all they need is a supervillain to bring them together, and then it's all chummy. It's fine.
But, before they can be all chummy, he's going to tell Anya that on his last mission, her boyfriend was killed, and she's going to vow to get revenge, just so we remember later on in the movie, she's got to get revenge. But for now, she's going to leave and go on her mission, and now we're going to go talk to Bond.
And he's going to be in all of his Navy gear?
Yeah, they pass us around a little bit when they go to London. Because first we're talking to the Navy. They're talking about their submarine going missing. Then Bond gets called in with some statesmen. And so they've got these maps, and apparently everybody there has top secret clearance, but they don't share their information with each other. Because at one point, MI6 reveals a map, and it's the exact same route as what the British submarine was going on. And they're like, how did you get this map? And they're like, that's classified for right now. And it's like, guys, everyone here gets to know the classified information. Like that's the whole point of this room. But yeah, now we got to go to Egypt. We're going to travel the world again. That's one of our favorite things to do. But I don't even know if we get to Egypt before we cut back to Stromberg and his...
Yeah. I think we cut back to... He was like talking to two scientists. Oh, and then he's like, oh, they leaked something. And says, oh, can you just leave the room? Because there's some lady in there with him.
Mm-hmm.
And then he sends her to the sharks because obviously it was her. And like, no evidence or anything is presented, really. So I
we just got to believe him.
Yeah. Like, I feel like mostly exposition for our benefit. Like, oh, so he's obviously evil because he'll even send these people to the sharks, and then he'll... Did he say to kill the scientist guys after? No, he blows up the helicopter.
He puts them on a helicopter, presumably with a pilot, and then blows them up.
Interesting choice.
Yeah, and so he's able to cancel the money that's going to go to these two scientists, and he says something about how the funeral was at sea. Like, the scene really exists just to show us that Stromberg is a bad guy, and it's a weak scene. It kind of sucks.
Yeah.
And when I came away from it, I thought the best thing about it was the henchmen. We've got Jaws and the stocky dude whose name I cannot remember. Yeah, Sandor. And so we've got these two far more interesting characters who don't say anything because the dude who has been speaking has just, I don't know, he's just evil for evil's sake. This is not the best scene for this villain.
Yeah, I think, and I don't know that there's any spot that I really think that he shines. Maybe later on when it's like, oh, well, he can't be bought off with money. They're like, okay, so that's a proper supervillain.
Yes, that is his best and most interesting element. I think that's what makes him a memorable villain. He has a gimmick. It's just such a subtle gimmick that you only notice it maybe once towards the end of the movie. One of his hands is webbed. He's got
I did not see that at all.
And you only see it like one time towards the end of the movie. And I just remember seeing it and being like, oh, that's weird. And then specifically looking at his other hand and seeing that there was nothing on the other hand. So I was like, this is a really like kind of weird and subtle gimmick, but okay, I'm into it. Like you wouldn't notice it, but it's kind of foreshadowing to his love of the underwater and how much he's into the fish life. And, but yeah, he tells, his short, stocky, henchman. Did you say it was Sandor,
yes.
Sandor. He tells him to listen to Jaws and sends them on their way. I get a chuckle out of this because I don't know if we'll ever hear Jaws speak.
I don't think so.
So I always wonder what he possibly could have said to Sandor. Yeah.
The prop for the teeth is just too difficult to speak in, I imagine.
Yeah.
It looks pretty beefy.
Well, with Jaws, I'm pretty sure they created two different mouthpieces. They've got the regular one and it's just closed. It's forever closed. If he really opens his mouth, he spits out a closed set of teeth. Okay. But then I think he's got another one that is permanently open and his lips create the illusion of closing or opening wider. And that he only uses that for like the 2 times that he takes a bite in this movie, maybe 3 times. But yeah, like we really don't see him open his mouth that often. For the most part, we're just looking at a couple of different prosthetic props, and like they saved money that way, but on a budget of $14 million, like clearly that wasn't where their budget went.
I get real Bebop and Rocksteady vibes from these guys.
Oh yeah. And it sucks because we're not going to get Bebop for very long. Like, well, it's not the next scene, because the next scene we get to see James Bond in Egypt, crossing the desert, meeting with
an old
women
friend,
and harems. And
yeah. You should probably stay. Oh, yeah, it's like the 4th innuendo line that anyone in this film has delivered. Like, M kicks it off way back when, and then this one's like, delve into the treasures of Egypt, and it's like, oh gosh, just...
Even though this movie has loads of innuendo, do you know what it does not have?
No.
A sexually aggressive Bond.
No.
He is exactly 0% rapey in this movie.
Best
and I think
that's movie ever.
Exactly. I think that's one of the reasons people love it so much, is because they're like, wow, like Bond can be a hero without raping a woman. Like, that's incredible.
But he can't handle not getting them dead around him.
Yes. I mean, that's
save him.
Just
Sorry.
a given.
I'm going to get this one, try to get information. She's going to get shot while we're making out. And then I'm just going to go on my merry way with the information that I got from the other guy.
Yep. Everything's fine. But yeah, I think just as we are getting to a point where Bond and Anya are about to meet, and we've had Bond being a horny spy with a few women, what we have not had was a Bond who beats up on women or forces them. And I think that's one of the reasons why this movie is elevated, is because in the previous two movies, and I said this specifically in the last one, it feels like it is Roger Moore as Sean Connery's Bond.
Yeah.
Like, he's not allowed to play his own version of the character. But then in this movie, I really do feel like we are seeing a new version of Bond. We are seeing some other actor's portrayal of the character, and the rest of the movie working around it, as opposed to everything kind of not working because the actor refuses to hit a woman. Like,
I think that would explain a bit of my odd feelings where he's just different as Bond. Like, it doesn't... Mm-hmm. He is a little bit more unserious, which is fine. Like, he's super spy. He's supposed to be very easily in and out of his craft. Like, he's gonna get the mission done. So why not just crack a few jokes?
And what I was just thinking was, like, you've got super cool Sean Connery and, to a lesser extent, George Lazenby, where they shine in just kind of being calm in extreme situations, whereas Roger Moore is straight up sarcastic. Like, he is willing to laugh at anything going on.
Yeah.
Nothing flaps this man. He is the definition of unflappable. And yeah, I don't think we see him bleed this time.
No,
as I think about the movie, I'm pretty sure we're back to a non-bleeding Bond.
Well, if he does bleed, the only bandage he'll accept is a, what do you call it, like a sleep shirt, or
like a negligee or something.
Yeah, that's the word. Because he gets bit. I think he gets bit by Jaws in the train. That's right.
He did
so
come in contact with the teeth.
Yeah.
So we do have a bleeding Bond. Okay. I had forgotten about it, but yes, 3 movies in a row, Roger Moore bleeds. That's just the way of it. But before we get to him bleeding, after we have the innuendo with the harem, he goes into Cairo proper. He's supposed to meet, I think, okay, this is where it gets convoluted. This is one of the reasons I don't love the beginning, because we are only told that someone in Egypt has access to the plans that were used to capture these submarines from underwater. The first person Bond is sent to is just his old friend who has the harem. He suggests going to another person, but to go to that person, he first has to go to another person. He goes to that person, but that's where Sandor, or whatever his name is waiting. And they have their fist fight.
I forgot about the very first person that he's trying to meet.
Yep, because it's so out of nowhere. I mean, I've watched this movie a few times. I understand it. I get it. But we're really just in this scene to have the fist fight. But this is where you talk about how Bond is making out with a woman, and for some reason she gets shot. Like, I don't remember. There's no way he could have seen the gun, so he didn't push her into getting shot. Like,
I think she screams.
Yeah, like she dives into it. Like,
well,
I
they're
don't
kissing,
know.
and he does kind of spin her around and get her in the path of the bullet. So it's like,
okay, so he does get her killed.
Yeah.
But she's the one who warns him, and but we have the fist fight, and I really do enjoy the conclusion to the fist fight where the guy's wearing a suit, the big stocky dude, and they're fighting next to the edge of this building, and Bond grabs him by the tie, or maybe he grabs Bond by the tie. All I know is someone has a tie in their hands.
Bond grabs him by the tie. He's dangling off. Well, kind of leaning back, dangling off.
And he's like, "You got to save me." And Bond's like, "Well, where is this other guy that I'm actually looking for?" And he's like, "Oh, he's at the pyramids." And then Bond just drops him. Just lets him go. That's the only bit of this stocky henchman we're going to get. He is done for the movie. He's a little squishier than the other one.
Pretty ruthless.
Yes.
Like, you don't know where this guy came from. You only got the information that kind of helps out. The pyramid thing, like Jaws, scares a guy that's talking to Anya. I'm so like, it doesn't make sense. Who's this guy?
So that was the guy who Bond was supposed to meet at that apartment. Instead of being at his apartment, he went to speak to Anya at the pyramids. But for some reason, they hung out at the pyramids until it was evening because there's a light show going on.
Sure.
A very cool looking light show. I would love to watch it in real life, but otherwise you're just like, why did the guy not show up for his daytime meeting with Bond if he had a nighttime meeting with Anya? And then at first I didn't understand how Bond was able to recognize the two of them talking in the crowd. But then later on I realized that Bond not only knows Triple X's call sign, he knows her full name and her military record. Like, they both know each other. Presumably they recognize pictures of each other and they know their faces.
Because Bond was in the paper that one time when he died. Everybody knows Bond except
Spectre,
the next guy. The next guy in the very next scene at the club. He's like, "I'm James Bond." He's like, "What about it?" Whoa,
I've never heard the name before. Oh man. But yeah, before we meet the next guy, for some reason the guy that Anya is talking to gets spooked by Jaws. Clearly Stromberg has had relationships with people here in Egypt. Like, he knows people here. That's what we need to be believing. But the movie hasn't told us any of this. The movie just shows that the guy is scared of Jaws.
Yeah.
Goes running in, locks himself into a tomb.
That doesn't have any other exit.
Yes. Well, yeah, why would you need another exit in a tomb?
Why would you run into a place that is no exit? I'm like, just keep running.
Yes, he's very bad at survivability, but Jaws is great at getting there. He bites the chain and gets in and then bites the dude's neck, and that's how he gets the kill. It's a pretty good kill from Jaws. Like, spooky, and he seems unstoppable.
Yeah, that's a theme. Is Jaws essentially is invincible.
Yes. That's one of the other things I love about Jaws. He's also quite nimble, because when Bond gets to him, they're having a standoff, the lights go out, and when the lights are back on, he is gone. He is out of there, and Bond is just left holding his gun, trying to figure out.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's, I guess, one little final note about that particular scene, just because we better point it out, is that Triple X shows up. She's got 2 Russian agents with her. They try to stop Bond. They both fail. Oh, yeah. Bond gets away. He's going to the meetup where Bond is going to find M. I think the first person he sees is Miss Moneypenny. So he knows he's in the right place. But then when he walks into the room, who does he see but the head of the KGB, just staring at Bond, all imposing and freaky like.
I don't think I took any notes on that because, like, that's not the point when he sees all the new gadgets, right? Or is it?
I cannot remember. I think it is because I think they go through all of the Egypt specific gadgets and they're touring with both MI6 and the KGB. Because I think you've got 4 people there. But I could be mistaken.
I think there's... So they go to the place where the guy doesn't know Bond. He gets a phone call that Jaws apparently sets up, and Jaws is sitting next to the phone booth and kills him, gets the microfilm. And
oh yeah, we forgot about this movie. It's so convoluted.
It got so many twists. I'm like, I don't know, because they get it. They get in Jaws' van. They fall asleep.
Yes.
But, like...
Yeah, so we really quickly glanced over that, but yeah, Bond and Anya go to a club where they wear really fancy and wonderful outfits.
And that's where they talk to each other about what they know about each other.
Yeah. Yes, that is where they reveal each other's identities to. They are not working together. They both try to outbid each other for the plans for this mapping system. You are correct. The dude who's selling it gets the phone call, but it's Jaws standing next to him. But what I did like was that Bond thinks up an excuse to leave as well. And then it takes Anya a few beats to realize, wait a minute, I'm just sitting here alone waiting for the deal. The deal could be happening in the next room. Why am I just sitting here alone like an idiot? And so there are times when I really like Anya, where she's like, no one's going to get one over on me. I'm going to do this. And yeah.
They hop in the van after he has the microfilm, but they like climb in the back secretly, but Jaws hears them over the intercom.
He's got a microphone in the back.
I do love that Anya's like, I will complete the mission and I'll get the microfilm. And Bond's like, not if I get it first. And it's like, that feels like a parody, but this is in the Bond film. Like, that's how a race works. Like, either she's going to get it or you're going to get it first.
Literally how this works, my dude. I do like watching them cooperate. So they go to another ancient Egypt area. Jaws gets out of the vehicle, and his whole thing is that he is going to lead them away, maybe kill them at some point, and then go back with the microfilm to Stromberg. But, you know, his plans fall apart. Bond is smart enough to grab the car keys out of the van, and as they are running and trying to find him, eventually Jaws shows himself, and they have a pretty good fight scene around the scaffolding. They bury Jaws under all this rock. So you're like, surely he's dead, but no, immediately after we see his hand.
They manage to make it to the car, and Jaws just tears it apart. I think that was probably my favorite prop of this entire thing. Like,
the aluminum car that Jaws is just ripping to pieces.
It's so great. Like, the Atlantis is cool, the miniatures are cool, but like, here's this giant dude that in the context of the movie, I'd expect he'd be able to tear stuff apart. And then he does, and it's like, oh, cool.
He rips the side off of the van at one point, like, oh, so great. And then, yes, the movie has to throw in some misogyny, and Anya's the one driving, and she just can't do it.
There's... man, it doesn't even feel like it's like, Russian women. It's just women in general. Like,
Yep. And that's not going to change for a while. I think that was one of my beefs with the franchise, even all the way through Daniel Craig, is that they're like, women in this universe are just totally incapable. And if they are capable, then they're completely ignored by men like Miss Moneypenny. That's just the way it's going to be for this particular world. All right. So they break down in the van. They're walking on foot through the desert. They find a mirage. And here they somehow find MI6 and the KGB hanging out together. I genuinely cannot remember. Oh, no. They find the mirage that gets them to the Nile.
Oh, they're on a boat.
Bond can speak Farsi. He can speak whatever language they're speaking. And so he gets the boat. He looks at the microfilm. And then Anya drugs him.
Yep.
Because, that's just how spies do.
Yeah. We might be horny, but we're not witless.
Yes.
Gonna get the microfilm, make it happen.
Yeah. So now she has the microfilm and she ditches Bond. Bond wakes up. Some women are making fun of him in whatever language they're speaking, but any language in the world, I recognize women making fun of a man. Like, that is a universal language.
Then he finds him. Now,
yes, I was going to say, and now finally, I have been trying to get to it for the past half an hour, but now finally Bond gets to MI6, where KGB is waiting for him. Because MI6 and the KGB decided that this is just too important. They're going to work together. It's cute. It's interesting. It's fun. I like the reveal. I like how Bond looks so uncomfortable where he's like, did I take a wrong turn? Like, why is the bad guy in here? And I also like the one-upsmanship between Bond and Triple X, where they're just constantly saying, well, I know this. Oh, yeah, well, I know this. Oh, yeah, well, what you know is useless because of this. Oh, yeah, well, and eventually the head of the KGB starts laughing and he's like, this is going to be awesome. Like, you guys working together is going to be the best thing in the world. And he's not wrong. Like, this movie takes a serious turn for the better after this scene, in my opinion. Like,
yeah, I think it's still not to the fun point. Like, I know that the title should have been like, oh, this is going to be somewhat more involved or more serious of a relationship, but I do understand that they have to manufacture the intimacy in order for it to be threatened when the evil guy wants to bring Bond to his lair. It was kind of like, I don't know, that's jumping a little bit ahead, but
well, we've got to go to his lair the first time, where Bond and Anya both travel to Stromberg's base in Sardinia, which I think is near Greece. So the other side of the Mediterranean. I'm not sure. Let me take a
goes a lot of places in this movie.
Oh, it's Sardinia is closer to Egypt. It is one of those little, not Egypt, Italy. It's one of those islands next to Sicily, but it's bigger than Sicily. It's that large island just south of Sicily. But yes,
before that, they have to travel in a train, and the closets are bigger on the inside for
because Jaws can fit inside of it.
I mean, they do hint at the trope of forced proximity where they might share a room, but they're actually going to keep it professional and that'll be fine. But wait, Jaws is magically in the right room and is going to attack you so that Bond can save you, and then you might feel obligated.
Destroy his own room in the process. So they have to share a room now.
It's a little bit of a tangent, but I did start watching the Casino Royale, and having not learned much from Book Talk until recently, I'm like, wait, this is just a romance book in action movie form. Oh my gosh,
man.
So it feels like that might just apply to even earlier iterations of Bond.
Yeah. I mean, as you have said in the past, this is smut for men. You've got an action sequence where a fist fight leads to the man's room being destroyed, but because he saved the woman's honor,
Oh yeah,
she's gonna offer up her room to him, and that's how it's gonna be. And ooh, so sexy.
It's just all. I mean, and that's where I was earlier saying, might have to change my perspective of, would the average person enjoy a what do you call it, contrived story that forces these people together? I mean, to a certain degree, sure. I think that's probably what this one is.
Well, and I think one of the reasons I'm so soft on this movie is because all these relationships are consensual. And I'm just like, way to go, Bond. You're finally having consensual relationships with women. Like, that's awesome.
Well, once they fade to black and wake up after the train, they find a ferry where we get the coolest Bond car that's not an Aston Martin. Unless there's other Bond cars.
I'm sure there are other ones, but yes, the Lotus is gorgeous. And I mean, it looks pretty futuristic because every time I look at that car, I think of an 80s car, but we are still in the late 70s. Like, this car is 5 to 10 years ahead of its time. Yeah. It is
that's
so
what I
rad.
thought about the TT Coupe from the Pierce Brosnan era. It was like, what is this bubble car? It is ridiculously cool. And they make it do stunts and stuff.
Now, I don't remember if he drives the car into Stromberg's base, but I really dislike the meeting between Stromberg and Bond for two reasons. First of all, they get in there and they're like, this is my wife. I'm a marine biologist. My wife is also very capable. We're both here to meet with Stromberg because we just want to discuss his studies and whatnot. And they're like, all right, well, you, the man, can go inside. The woman has to stay out here. And then when Bond goes in to meet Stromberg, they barely talk about anything. Like, I don't know if any actual information is shared.
Not about the plot.
Except maybe about the shipper or the shipment, the freighter that they have just launched. But I think that the assistant told them about that.
Yeah.
Because it was Anya who said that, well, the largest ship in the ocean is the Karl Marx.
Oh boy, yep.
Wow, I wonder why this British marine biologist's wife knows so much about Russian naval vessels. That's so weird.
When they get the car, I had to rewind it because Anya is saying, "Oh, hi." Well, Bond says, "Thank you, Q," and Anya's like, "Well, thanks. Good to see you, General something." And she gave Q a name that in the aliases on the wiki is there, and I'm like, wait, he has a name that this Russian spy knows?
Major Boothroyd.
Yeah, she's like, oh, thanks. And it's like, wait, who's she talking to? It's Q.
Yeah, I completely forgot about Major Boothroyd. And I'm pretty sure this is the only time he ever gets that name.
That's probable.
We'll have to listen and see if that is ever said again. You are correct. Before they go meet with Stromberg is when they get the car, and we're really close to Anya because Bond and Q are having their discussion about all the gadgets, but we're not allowed to listen to them. And then later on, Anya is going to know all the gadgets because she stole the plans years ago.
That was way cool. I do say, when the manufactured threat to their budding relationship is Naomi, it is a little hard to believe that this serial horny spy is just like, he's committed to Anya, but hey, there's this hot Naomi lady. He's not going to do anything.
Oh my gosh.
Watch out.
So this is where I struggle the most in doing this podcast, at least doing these Bond movies, because the movie is very into the male gaze, and I am its target audience. I am the straight white male who likes the ladies' bodies and forms, and oh boy, did I get a little hot under the collar with Naomi. I was like, wow, this is the most gorgeous woman I have ever seen in a Bond movie.
That plays into what I feel like they're trying to manufacture. I mean, like, oh, so Russian spy and UK spy are just like falling in love, kind of. He saved her, and now there's a new hot spy. And it's like, just imagine someone like writing this up, playing with like Barbie dolls, be like, this one is now maybe gonna be the thing.
And now Burnett Barbie is here, and ooh, she's the hot one.
It's like, oh boy. So
but it worked on me. It worked on me. I was like, ooh, Naomi's hot.
Well,
so but I also really enjoy that Naomi isn't just hot. She's also one of the assassins, one of the henchmen. Like
once they talk about nothing and they let him back onto the mainland, it's like he's not communicating to Jaws to go kill him. I mean, kind of, but Naomi and Jaws and some guy on a motorcycle try to kill them. He just has
the general order to kill him on the mainland. And that's part of, it's one of the tropes that we have discussed over and over again, where the villain has a perfect opportunity to kill Bond, but he wants him killed in a different location.
Yeah. Let's not do that.
Yeah, like in this case in particular, that was a bad idea because the Lotus Esprit that Q has given Bond is a pretty dope car with all sorts of gadgets. But the only one that matters is that it's a submarine car.
Surface to air missiles to
underwater to air missiles. Like, it is so rad. And it's the first time Bond has killed a woman.
Confirmed. I feel like the spinning around two women so far into the path of bullets somewhat counts, but it wasn't him pulling the trigger.
He didn't fire the bullets, and so I can see those arguments. So we could say that maybe Volpa from Thunderball was Bond's first kill, if we're going to say that someone else firing a gun and Bond positioning the body as a shield counts. But in terms of Bond firing the gun, Bond blows up Naomi's helicopter.
Goodbye, Naomi.
Yep, there goes the hottest woman in this movie. She is
But the chase isn't done yet. He escaped from the motorcycle. He escaped from a car full of guys, which included Jaws. Jaws survives the crash that takes out
Jaws
that car.
Is the only one who survived that car crash.
The helicopter scene, the helicopter chase part of it, aside from blowing up at the end, my footage was a little bit grainy, but the shots of the car and the helicopter in very close proximity were amazing stunts. It looked so cool.
Yeah. Whoever they had as a stunt pilot for that helicopter had no fear, because they were just inches above the car.
Yeah, it was really good.
This is a time period before George Lucas taught us that we can splice, pictures together. So everything that we're seeing is likely done on camera. Yeah. This is something where there really is a car and a helicopter that close together.
So he dives into the water away from the helicopter, blows it up, and
then has to go check out Atlantis.
No, he has to avoid and beat two more divers with little handheld motors, and then an entire other submarine that comes after him.
See, and I thought that those guys showed up because he was going to Atlantis.
Oh, I mean, the general order to kill Bond.
Yes. I mean, everybody wants Bond dead, so the chase is not done. There are still people trying to kill Bond. And one of them got very close with that underwater depth charge. Like, whoo!
Yeah.
Ever since that tourism submarine imploded, I'm super sensitive to these underwater explosions and leaks springing up inside the vehicle. I'm like, you guys are gonna get crushed.
It's just a matter of time, a matter of pressure. Yeah. Yeah, they get the Lotus out of the water. Well, they went to go see Atlantis, and they kind of like peek in the windows or something.
Yeah.
So weird.
They see.
I don't know what they saw.
They see more of his plans. They see one of his big maps. But I don't remember them getting any useful information out of that. I'm racking my brain for their spying on Atlantis, and I don't think they got anything out of it except that Atlantis is guarded by more underwater submarine fighters. Like, that's So it doesn't seem to do much. But they leave and then they drive the Lotus back onto the beach. I think you wrote it down that you suspect that they had it on a tow cable.
I imagine.
In order to pull it up.
Maybe. I'd love to know if they did or not.
I was going to say, I cannot tell you one way or another, but I imagine that would be the most practical way to do it.
It looked like a car driving out of the water and continuing on. It seemed really good.
Yep. And Bond even drops a fish out of the window. Like, it's one of the slapstick moments, but it's earned. Yeah. It's not like J.W. Pepper, who just ruins every scene he is in. This is a car that has been underwater, now driving back onto the surface and dropping a fish out of the side. I'm like, yes, you have earned that chuckle. I'm good with it. Let's see.
That?
But, well, when we're back on land, they are doing some good spy work. They're looking into the freighter ship that Stromberg has launched, and they discover it has never gone to port. It has never once actually
landed,
gone anywhere. Yeah. And so they start looking into it. They're just chatting, and they start talking about the Alps where Bond had been skiing. And she's like, did you kill someone there? Did you kill this guy in particular? And Bond's like, I killed one dude, and I don't know who it was.
Do you know how little that narrows it down?
Yeah, like, I just shot a guy. He was chasing me. It may have been your dude, may not have been. It is absolutely her dude because it's a movie, but it's also one of those situations where it's like, Bond, you didn't have to admit any of this. Like, I get it. I have trouble with dishonesty. Like, I hate lying. But
it's the third act breakup, though. It has to happen.
Yes. Yeah, and Bond now knows that Anya is going to kill him when the mission is complete. She has vowed that she will put the final bullet in her gun in Bond. But only after the mission is complete, because she never fails a mission. Because she's a professional, people.
She's a professional. We have standards.
From here on out, the movie does not stop. Once it gets moving...
Well, with the exception of, like, stopping...
Yeah, I guess the movie's going to give us one break before it goes nonstop.
A little bit. I mean, I just wanted to not gloss over.
A shower break.
Yeah, it was like the gratuitous nudity scene where...
We'll have a chance to take a shower.
Yeah, like that. The captain says, "Oh, you could shower at my place, in my quarters, like ostensibly to be private." And then the curtains,
and then he
like,
insists upon it.
Yeah, like the curtains open and some guy comes in and he's like, "What? You've never seen a major showering?" And it's before. Like, why is this here? What?
Because it's a funny line. It's a funny line. Like, let's be real. You've never seen a major showering before. That line works. It works in 1977 and it works in 2025. I give it 2 thumbs up. It's a funny line.
All right.
I'm putting my foot down on this one. You've never seen a major showering before is a gem. It is a line that should be held in history as a brilliant little bit of comedy.
After that, there's no break.
Now there's going to be no break. But, we are going to be told that this is an American nuclear submarine. Bond and Anya descend from a helicopter onto the submarine. They get dressed up to look like they are just regular American naval officers. Doesn't work because they get captured almost immediately after the submarine itself gets captured. Like, they know the submarine's going to get captured. That's the whole reason Bond and Anya are on the submarine. But their idea is that they are just going to, mingle with the crew and they will get into the prison with them and find their way out. But no, like, instantly someone rips the hat off of Anya's head. She starts throwing punches. Bond starts throwing punches. And then our villain... Stromberg is like, those two, bring them up here. Like,
oh yeah, there's Bond. Oh, okay, let's
so
do
their
the
plan
whole.
Just falls apart right away.
We want Bond to get a good view of all that's going on here, so we can get a good plan, and then we'll threaten him, and then separate him, and everything will go just fine.
Well, and for a while, Stromberg's plan is working. They fill up the British and the Soviet submarines that they caught at the beginning of the movie. They fill those up with Stromberg's men as well as nuclear missiles and launch them. Now, I don't love the launch sequence because it is simultaneously too fast and too slow.
Oh, I
like
they send furious.
They send the first submarine out. And within seconds of that submarine going out, they clear the next one. But then it's painfully long watching them leave the freighter ship that they are inside of. But then it also seems as though they should be crashing into each other when they're trying to leave this extremely narrow exit point because they launched too soon. So I'm just over picky about this little part, but Stromberg's plan has succeeded. He has 2 nuclear submarines heading to their targets, and at the same exact time, they are going to launch missiles on both Moscow and New York City, starting World War III. Yeah, like, this is one of our best plans. Probably since From Russia with Love, if I'm honest with you. Like, this is a really good plan in order to start World War III. And this is not even Spectre. This is Stromberg, just a lone crazy guy.
He's just a proper supervillain. Just doing what he wants.
So we've had 2 movies where we're out of Spectre, but I've hated the villains. And now we've got like a villain that has a proper motivation, has a proper plan, seems to be working. And the only thing I hated about him was his very first scene. Like, since then, he's been growing on me. I'm really starting to like Stromberg.
Yeah, I think it kind of wraps up best in this part where he's not able to be bribed with money. He's like, I want to do this. I want a new world, and I'm going to make it happen. I've set everything in motion, and now it's time to make it happen.
I've got all the money I need. I am already building my underwater city. Like, this is going to happen. If I kill off 90% of the human population, c'est la vie. Like, that's a feature, not a bug.
Sounds like Fallout. Just so sure that it's going to work out if you can blow everything up. Your version of what happens after is totally going to happen.
All you got to do is start a nuclear apocalypse, and then you can save the world. That's Fallout and this guy, Stromberg. I keep forgetting his last name, so I have to always find it on the page because I'm like, Stromberg. Like, he shouldn't work as a villain, and yet, like, the more the movie goes, the more he works as a villain. Somehow Bond gets free. It kicks off this battle where Bond has to free the sailors. He starts by freeing the American sailors and tells them to free everybody else, but I think we only ever see the American and the British sailors. I think the Russians are just left in their cells and presumably at the bottom of the ocean today.
Because they so many explosions and the good guys get away. The big ship goes down, but they send the right coordinates while the ship is still there.
You are skipping all the way through. Dude, we've got to throw like 32 grenades. This is the most hand grenade heavy battle I have ever seen in my life. Everyone has hand grenades.
All within a steel-walled ship.
Enclosed environment.
That would hurt so bad.
The first one that went off should have put everybody on their knees, holding their ears, just desperately trying to figure out which way is up. But no, they throw like 31 more grenades. At some point, they decide the only way to get into the control room that has steel shielding on it is to find a nuclear detonator, not the nuclear bomb, not any of yes, none of that stuff. They got to find just the detonator. And when they free it, they then have to play Operation because they can't let the detonator touch the sides or else it'll blow. I don't know if it'll blow nuclear, but it will blow. And that's so very slowly they're going to pull it out, and then they get it out, and Bond puts it, he hijacks the security camera they have inside of this ship, rides it all the way to the end, unplugs it because apparently it had one point of failure on the entire thing. And then a little more slapstick comedy. Bond pushes off, but the thing gets stuck and he needs to get away, but he's just stuck there waving like an idiot until he can fall into the water. And then the detonator goes off and they break into the control room. They're able to change the codes for the nuclear submarines. And that part kind of sucks. Yeah. Like, if I'm honest, I had it in my head that Stromberg won. That by launching the submarines, there was nothing that could be done about it. But I guess you can just change the target codes. And
well, I think fine. They send instructions to change where the detonation location is supposed to go to. I don't know if they sent that to the computer on the thing or to the captains of the ships. But anyways,
I got the impression they sent it to a human being,
right?
And a human being punched in the new coordinates.
Do this other thing. Plans have changed from 30 minutes ago.
Yeah, and I know that your old coordinates were like 30 miles away, but now we need you to shoot something 300 miles away.
Don't worry.
Yeah, just don't question it. Don't question it. Just shoot. And apparently they fired and exploded 2 nuclear missiles in the Atlantic Ocean for this movie. But there's no fallout, nothing to worry about there.
No problem.
That's fine.
It'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
And then yes, they all get into the USS Wayne, the US nuclear submarine. They blow a tiny hole out of the front of the freighter and somehow manage to get through.
It's a lot of
but of course
allowances.
they are. It's yeah, like it's an action movie. They gotta be allowed to get through it. Yeah. And that was a huge chunk of movie.
Yeah.
That was just all explosions and action. And I feel like we're starting to understand what it means to make an action movie. They tried it with You Only Live Twice. I really enjoyed the volcano layer. I loved the assault on the volcano layer. But it didn't have the same impact that this one does, where, for me at least, I'm watching two legitimate military forces really just hammering into each other and getting nowhere. But they have to keep fighting, because if the bad guys in the control panel think that you're up to something, then they're going to change their tactics. So you have to keep people in harm's way out in the middle of the battlefield while Bond is playing Operation with a detonator. And like, just a lot of it works for me. It just works pretty well. And it's a huge chunk of movie, huge chunk of paragraph when you're reading about it in Wikipedia.
This happens, that happens.
Yeah, like they're like, it's so much stuff happening.
I mean, it just, you foil the plan and then you go and confront the bad guy. But
well, what I like about this is it's not as simple as just confronting the bad guy. The U.S. nuclear submarine is ordered to destroy Atlantis. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. They are told, we know where it is. We know who's on it. Blow it up right now. And Bond is like, give me a chance. Let me go first. I got to save Anya. Just give me 10 minutes. That's all I'm asking for. And they give it to him. They're like, all right. So they launch Bond through a torpedo tube on a jet ski. And somehow he makes it over to Atlantis.
Well, where he's being expected. Like,
yes,
here, come into
there's
the elevator.
There's a meal set out for him.
Well, he gets in the elevator and Stromberg pushes the button to send him to the sharks, but he still makes it all the way up.
Yeah, somehow he knew that this elevator had a trap door at the bottom, and so he was able to just kind of stand on the sides.
The things Bond knows when the script needs him to know are unlimited.
Yes, exactly. I'm willing to forgive it because I'm having a lot of fun with the movie. But yeah, it is one of those things where it's unearned. Bond has no reason to know that anything is going on with this elevator. I guess he's just smart enough to know to always stand on the sides of an elevator. Like, if it's people-sized, spread those legs. Make sure.
Confrontation.
But yeah, he gets into... first he gets into a word fight with Stromberg, where the two of them talk about how both the other one is going to die very soon.
No, you're going.
Yeah. Stromberg has a spear gun, like an underwater spear gun that is rocket propelled, and on a tube that runs the length of his dinner table, and he fires it and somehow misses Bond, who
out of the way.
Who then has his gun and can shoot the guy right there, but decides to stick it inside this tube that he doesn't know anything about and starts shooting in there.
Yeah, it's like that just launched the whatever at you. You can't know that it's unobstructed. Like,
yeah,
just shoot
for all
the
you
guy.
know, there's a steel plate right at the end of it, and you have missed every single shot that you took at Stromberg.
Yeah, that doesn't make much sense.
But it worked. It's fine. Stromberg's dead. Really great villain. self-contained, only exists for this one movie.
But
7 out of 10.
fully committed
Wood
to the bet.
Stromberg again. Yeah, like, and I think it's in this scene, maybe in the previous scene. One of these two scenes is when we get to see his webbed fingers. It doesn't mean anything for the movie. It doesn't matter to the movie. He just has them.
I don't know if it's in that scene, but in some of his speech talking bits, he does the whole Elon Musk finger triangle thing, and I'm like, ugh, this is horrible. I'm smart, and here's my finger pyramid. Like,
I make finger pyramids to show how smart I am.
Yeah.
That's what smart people do. We're not out of it yet because Jaws is a loyal henchman, and he stops Bond from saving Anya. They have a little fist fight, and Bond gets the better of him and they end up in the shark tank, and then Bond is able to use one of the dumbest looking magnetic cranes ever, because looking at the way the control is set up, you would always have to end up in the middle before you could go left, right, up, or down. Like, let's say you want to go left for a bit and then you want to go up. Well, first you got to go left, then you got to return it to the middle, then you can go up and then return it to the middle. Like, it's dumb. I'm overthinking it. It has a magnet on it. The magnet grabs Jaws by the jaws.
Yeah, I feel like that magnet drop is just what I initially recalled about Jaws fights.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of don't want it to show up again. I'm hesitant to say that it won't, because it pulls him up by his teeth, and that's his strength being turned into a weakness, and it's great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I'm like, I hope that only happens one time, because that works fine.
Well, yeah, I agree. If they're going to use magnets...
why is there a magnet crane in this place?
Yes.
What is it for?
In a fish tank. Yeah, it's a contrivance, but it makes for an interesting scene. It looks visually stunning. It works. And they, he's not made to stay on the magnet. That would probably have killed him. No. Bond turns the magnet off and drops him into the shark tank. But Jaws bites the shark to death, which is kind of heavy metal and rock and roll, and I'm into it.
He deserves it. He's been put through everything, this guy.
But he's walked out of everything. He has survived everything that Bond has thrown at him.
It's wonderful. I think it's like, this guy's no lines. Bond, who's only charming when he's talking, and it's like Batman and Joker. They just...
I agree with you. I think Jaws is the perfect foil to Bond. They are both infinitely capable killers. They are both very well known for doing what they do. And they're both charming in their own ways. It's just one of them speaks, the other one does not. And
Jaws smiles a lot, I think.
Yes, he does.
He's just going to jim the camera. Keep looking at the camera.
I'm trying to think of all of his quote-unquote deaths. He was crushed by rocks. Mm-hmm. Then he was shocked in the mouth and thrown out of a train.
Oh, yeah.
What was it? He crashed a car.
Yep.
And now he is getting dropped into a shark tank in a sinking underwater layer.
Oh, yeah. Blows up.
So 4
but he
times.
Makes it out.
Yep. All 4 times he gets out of it. And it's wonderful. I do love Jaws. But I'm going to say, for our villain henchman at the end of the movie trope, because it's always after the villain dies and before the end of the movie that we get the henchman, Jaws does show up during that period, but it's not, as a final killer type thing as we've had in the previous ones. I'm going to say half a point, half a trope for Jaws. Because, he didn't show up to interrupt the sexy times.
Nope.
He showed up during the action. But it was after the villain died. Anyway, they get into Stromberg's very personal escape pod, and both Bond and Anya are able to escape.
She pulls a gun on him.
Bond compliments Stromberg's taste in wine, and then, yes, a gun gets pulled, and the champagne cork pops, and we're supposed to think that maybe Anya pulled the trigger, but no. She's going to smile, and they're not going to kill each other after all. They're really in love with each other.
Oh, I expect to see her in the next movie, like, immediately.
I don't know if we ever get her again.
I was like, this is not on Her Majesty's Secret Service. She's going to be gone.
Yeah. I think this is her one and only appearance, and that really does suck because we get the head of the KGB in other movies, but we won't get Agent XXX anymore.
Gotta leave Bond single.
Yep. And I mean, we have seen that Bond has had relationships with other spies.
Yeah.
The last movie had Good Night in it.
Yeah.
And her whole thing was that she became a spy because of Bond. And then Bond just left her. So clearly it doesn't do much to help. But, we made it all the way to the end.
Yeah.
For me, the movie just gets better and better as it goes. I've complained a lot that some of these movies will have kind of a stinky middle, or it falls apart at the end. If there's going to be a weak part of the movie, I'd rather it be at the beginning.
Yeah.
I'd rather the movie find its footing and end strong, as opposed to starting strong, going into a middle area that sucks, and then ending strong. That's just kind of how I feel. But since we're here, really quickly, let me just say, we offer ratings, not grades. A lot of reviewers will offer a grade where they say 7 out of 10 is the average, but that's not the average. That's like way above the average. Here we do ratings, and a rating says 5 out of 10 is the middle. That is the average. That is it is okay to watch rating. Anything above that, it's a good movie. Anything below that, it's probably a bad movie. Now, with that said, Justin, what would you rate The Spy Who Loved Me, and why?
The beginning was bad. Bad as in below 5. But I do think once you get to, I guess the introduction of Naomi and the car chase, it gets more exciting and less, waiting for the will they, won't they. The title of the movie is The Spy Who Loved Me, so obviously they're supposed to fall. But yes, it just feels...
There is no won't they.
Yeah.
They will.
It just feels so pushed up to that point that, okay, so Bond saved your life. Now, of course, you are obligated to sleep with him. It's just all a little weak. But then, oh yeah, we're in a Bond movie. Let's make the action happen, and let's have some amazing stunt work. And yeah, that works for me. So for me, it would be enjoyable to the above average viewer. So I put it at 6.
Interesting.
It's not as good to me as Her Majesty's Secret Service, but I only count, I cut off the movie of Secret Service for the last 2 minutes. So Bond gets a happy ever after.
So in your head canon, that movie has a happy ending and it's wonderful.
Yes.
That's great. That's very funny because for the past 3 movies, you and I have been within 1 point of each other. With Live and Let Die being a half a point away from each other. But all of the other movies have been 1 point. And this time I'm definitely going to say my number before I get into the reason why. I'm putting it at a 7.
Okay.
So between the two of us, we're at a 6.5. But I'm at a 7 because I feel like you really could start watching the Bond franchise here. Okay. I do think that most of what came before could be skipped, even with me being a huge fan of From Russia with Love and being a pretty big fan of On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Most of those earlier movies, I really think only Bond fans should watch them. Like they're a curiosity. If you're not into Bond, they're just going to be kind of sexist drivel. There's not a whole lot to them. But then you get to this one and it's got a lot of charm and it's got a lot going on. There's a little bit of a weaker plot at the beginning, but once they're done with that plot, once we know who the bad guys are and we know that Bond knows who the bad guys are, the movie just takes off and just says, we're going to keep running. Like, you got to be running at this pace from now on because we're not stopping. And I love, oh man, do I love that we've got a really good, crazy villain. I didn't like him at the beginning. I didn't like him, I think, even in our second scene watching him. I just was not into Stromberg. But when we find out that, like, no, you can't buy him off, he is going to start World War III, and that is what he's going to do. Like, that is really dope. And I'm glad we got a villain who's actually offering some stakes. You know, the movie really matters. So that's why I'm at a 7. I think you could start here. This could be your first Bond and you would be caught up. You would be where Bond is. Like, yeah.
And where it's the first one that you like, not Roger Moore playing Sean Connery.
Yeah. That's another thing that I think colors my rating of this movie so much is once you've got a Bond who is not overly aggressive with women, you've got a Bond who is cool as a cucumber and charming as the most charming thing in the world. He's Bond. Like, we finally have what we can consider the character of Bond. And yes, you could say Sean Connery was that character as well, but I think Sean Connery was trying to play a character out of a book. And that book character probably doesn't work for me. I don't think I would enjoy these books so much. Whereas these movies, especially now that we've got a Roger Moore who is playing Bond like Roger Moore would play Bond, I'm really into it. And I'm just like, yes, we have hit the turning point. We have hit the spot where, like, now we're starting to get to peak Bond. Like, we're getting to the place where
this is the peak of Roger Moore.
Yeah.
We'll see what I'm like. Oh, this is the best
I didn't
one?
want to say anything because when I pitched this podcast to you, I had just finished For Your Eyes Only, which is 2 movies away.
Oh, okay.
And I had a great time with that movie. I had such a great time watching that movie that I jumped on Discord and was like, Justin, we need to do a podcast together. So I don't think the movie's going to be bad. And then Moonraker, if I remember correctly, really the only criticism that I have with that movie is that it kind of feels like a repeat of Diamonds Are Forever, where we've got a space laser as the main thing. But I think it's done a million times better. And I know one of the characters who's going to be in the next movie, and I'm so very excited to see him again. So for me, at least, the next 2 movies I'm excited for. Like I'm like, we've got 3 in a row that I think I'm going to be above a 5 on.
Oh, nice. Well, I look forward to that.
And then we'll see where it goes after that. I don't remember anything about Octopussy or A View to Kill. Those are the final 2 Roger Moore movies, and I don't know anything about them. They might be stinkers.
Oh, well,
so
this one was decent. It was nice to add to what I know about the Bond lore.
And this did continue the Bond lore. I don't look like an idiot anymore when I said On Her Majesty's Secret Service was canon. And then we went 3 movies ignoring it.
Wait, you were married once. Don't talk about that.
Yes.
Okay.
Stop talking about it. But they acknowledged it, and I'm right, damn it. That's all I need. All right. Well, if you have made it this far in the podcast, thank you so much for listening here. Why don't you leave a comment, a rating, or a review? If you're listening on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. You can support us by following us on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, where we post our shorts. And then if you want to get in touch with us directly, the best way to do it is emailing us at potatochippicturespod@gmail.com. I don't think there is anything else. I haven't seen any emails coming through. Yeah, so I'm just sitting here trying to think if there's any other things that I need to do, but no, we did it all. So I hope you have enjoyed listening to Potato Chip Pictures. My name was B. Sammy Davis.
I'm Justin. Thanks for listening.
Potato Chip Pictures and James Bond will return in Moonraker. Goodbye!
Discord.
I know you already said goodbye, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Discord always cuts you out because you go up to such a high register. Goodbye.
That's awesome. Oh man, so maybe it wouldn't work to record Discord, because then it would just cut out any of the times that I get too loud.
Your hellos cut out and your goodbyes cut out.
Hellos and goodbyes, those are my 2 big ones.
I can finally eat my saltwater taffy I've been saving. Nom 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 nom.